Welcome into Braves Central here from 680 The Fan, the Dickey Broadcasting Company, of course, the flagship of the Braves Radio Network. Feel free to share, subscribe, review, all of that stuff. This is a podcast that we're just getting back up off the ground. We want to make it the best Braves podcast out there. We need you to make that happen. So please feel free to do that as well. We're answering your questions today, and they are sent in via Twitter, public Twitter, DM, Instagram, Facebook, carrier pigeon, whatever. You can send them in. We can answer them on next week's show. Calvin Fenner, hey, Barrett Sallee, where are we with Ronald's recovery and Strider's return? That's a very good question. As far as Acuña, last time we talked to Snit last week here in Atlanta, he said that he was down in Florida and working out. But since then, it's been radio silent. So we don't know, but we're going to ask that question to Snit and his press availability on Friday. And Strider, sort of the same thing, radio silent. You'd think, I'm a little concerned with Strider a little bit because, it was kind of a freak thing, right? A pulled muscle, but, it was a grade 1, not a grade 2, which is what Harris had to deal with last year. So I'm no doctor, but theoretically, he should be getting better, right? Especially a guy like him who's in fantastic shape. Pulled hamstring for a guy like me might keep me out for a long time. For him, probably a little easier. So we're going to ask about that too, but I'm surprised we haven't seen anything in terms of him potentially even going back down to Gwinnett for a rehab start. So I'm more concerned about Strider and the radio silence than Acuña. But for Acuña, and we're sitting here on May 2nd, and the timeline always was late April, early May. Now it seems like it shifted to mid-May. Without a rehab start, without a rehab stint yet, or even knowledge of one, or plans for one, now we're talking mid-May to late May. Is something going on? I'm not I know I am. I am a conspiracy theorist. I'm not saying that there's a conspiracy here, but is there a reason to be concerned? Maybe. We'll get that information from Snit today, Friday, but it is something to keep an eye on. It has not gone, Acuña's situation has not gone according to the way I thought it would. Before the season, I always kind of pinpointed the Dodgers series as, hey, that's when Acuña's coming back. It's far from that right now. It doesn't seem like it's even within our reach at this point. So that's the situation with that. But Strider, we're going to ask Snit about it today, so make sure you follow me and the 680 The Fan account. We'll be tweeting out from both of those from Snit's press availability. So we're going to find out for sure. If nobody else asks that question, I 100% will ask that question. So we will see what Snit says. This is from Dusty Stanfill. Is Nick Allen the everyday shortstop now? Yes, absolutely. I don't think there's any doubt about that. After what Orlando Arcia did, or I guess perhaps didn't do last year, and it's kind of continued the times he has gotten at bats this year, it's not working. And it's easy to bench him because he's cheap. You're not really wasting money by having him sit on the bench. If Profar comes back and you sit him on the bench, yeah, you're wasting a little bit of money, but not necessarily with Orlando Arcia. So Nick Allen has done everything that he needs to do in order to keep this job. Hitting over 280, he's stealing bases, he's getting clutch hits. Like, look, you're not asking a lot from the number 9 guy in your order or number 8 guy, depending on what the situation is. You're not asking a lot. And he's provided way more than expected, way more than needed. And defensively, they're basically a wash, right? So, yes, Nick Allen is the everyday shortstop. Now, is this sustainable? Is that, a stone-cold lead pipe lop that's going to be like that for the rest of the season? No, of course not. Chris Domino and I always talk about, in the pregame show, hey, you play to the back of your baseball card. And generally speaking, that's true. And the back of the baseball card for Nick Allen does not suggest that he can be an everyday shortstop. But he's never really been in a situation like this where he has protection all around him, right? So maybe the back of the baseball card changes because of the situation that Nick Allen is in, but we should not expect that. I think that's the biggest thing. We shouldn't expect that. So if he goes through a 2 for 25 slump, is Nick going to be benched in place of Orlando Arcia? Maybe. You pull the trigger a little quicker because you understand, hey, you know what? This guy does not have that track record of success to the ability to turn it around. And that's okay. That's not a slight against Nick Allen. Maybe he is now a 280 hitter. Maybe that's who he is. Maybe he is a guy who can steal you 15, 20 bases if he gets a full-time chance. Maybe that is him. Maybe this is something he's going to take and run with. Cool. That'd be awesome. But it's not something you can count on. But for now, it's something that you take advantage of. And I think that's why he's in the starting lineup pretty much day in and day out. If Orlando gets starts this weekend, sure, maybe it's a matchup thing. I don't know. But it doesn't change the fact that right now, based on what Nick Allen has done, he is the starting shortstop. And if Orlando gets in there, it is just to get him some at-bats to keep him fresh. Speaking of at-bats to keep him fresh, Brian James, do we know why Verdugo was out of the lineup and Rosario was in the last game in Colorado? Yes, we do. Snit even talked about that in the Brian Snitker report in the beginning of the Ford Leadoff Show. He also answered the question after the game on Wednesday. It was just to get Rosario some at-bats. It was just to get him fresh. Now, is that an answer that people can agree with or understand? It depends on the person, right? The Braves are generally an organization that when they bring somebody up, when they sign somebody, when they trade for somebody, that person gets at-bats right away. You get thrown into the fire. It's been like that for a long time. It was like that with Bobby Cox. It was like that with Freddie Gonzalez. It's like that with Snitker. If you agree with that plan, fine, cool. If you don't, I understand it. I don't really understand. I don't follow that plan. If Eddie Rosario is supposed to be a backup, supposed to be an emergency pinch hitter, then leave him in that role, especially if the alternative is taking Alex Verdugo out of the lineup. So I don't like that philosophy, but it is the Braves' philosophy. I'm not the one making the big bucks. I'm not the one cashing that paycheck that Brian Snitker has every 2 weeks. But if it was me, I would not do that. I would have left Verdugo, let him run, let him cook, do his thing. And if I was going to change anything, it would have been take Eli White out and put Rosario in for Eli White. I know Eli White's been smoking hot. So has Verdugo. You pick your poison. But again, that goes back to my point. Why do either? Why do either? But that was the explanation given, is that Rosario's here. He's going to be a pinch hitter. You need to keep him fresh. I'm pretty sure, though, he knows a little bit about the Braves organization, how things operate, what is expected of him. He's been here a time or two. So whatever. Not my decision. Again, that's Snit, but that is the philosophy of the organization as a whole. Let's see. Jeff Mathis, are there any plans in the front office to address the bullpen? Yeah, they've already done it a lot too. Whether it be Rafael Montero or whoever that has come in to sort of provide a spark. Zach Thompson, Craig Kimbrell's coming in. There's no doubt, watching how this bullpen has operated, that the plan was to shop at the bargain rack all year. If you're going in and Aaron Bummer is supposed to play a massive role, if Dylan Lee is supposed to play a massive role, look, I love those guys, but you don't have a solid eighth inning guy that you trust. You don't have the O'Ventrable situation, for those who don't remember that. And it was Eric O'Flaherty, Johnny Venters, Craig Kimbrell back, I think it was 2010, 11, because Billy was here in 2010. You don't have that situation. So you're playing matchup all the way until Raisel Iglesias. So since they didn't sign anybody, then you're kind of mixing and matching pieces. No one's going to trade a quality reliever right now. So addressing the bullpen is exactly what the Braves are doing. Sort of this rotating door. Hey, Jesse, you're going to get a shot. You're going to get DFA'd. We're going to sign you again. You're going to get DFA'd after that. Rafael Montero, you haven't had a good career since that big contract was signed. We'll see what we can do here. No harm, no foul. If it doesn't work, whatever. We're not on the hook for the money. That's the only way the Braves can approach the bullpen right now. And I know a lot of folks are saying, oh, wait till Kimbrell gets back. Let's not go there. The velocity has not been there. Is that going to change? Maybe, I don't know. But let's not put all of our hopes in Craig Kimbrell's basket. He's not going to be coming in on a white horse saying, I'm the guy that's going to fix all this. No, that's not going to happen. Until the trade deadline, this is the only way you go about it. You just sort of pick them up, put them out. You just shop at the bargain rack. You buy a shirt, it looks good for a day, but it gets ripped, you throw it out. Go back to the bargain rack, you buy a hat. The hat doesn't look good, but you wear it once, or you lose it in the lake or whatever, you move on. That's what the Braves are forced to do right now. And honestly, I think that was the plan from the get-go. I know fans probably don't want to hear that. What else we got? Oh, Matty Ice Trey. Fantastic name. Matty Ice, or McMatty Ice 85, but his name's Matty Ice Trey. I like that a lot. Since ownership decided not to spend in the offseason, can we expect to see the team be active for the next few months, adding talent to the payroll? They're not going to bust the bank. They're not going to break the bank. They're not going to say, "Oh, you know what? We're going to go spend $30 million at the trade deadline." That's not going to happen. But we had Alex on the station. I guess it was like a month ago, and he said, "Look, they can if they go to Liberty and say, hey guys, you know what? I know you only said 4, but could we have 6? Could we have 7? We really need this in order to get over the hump." It's fine. It's fine. They're not going to go nuts. They're not going to go start throwing, $100 bills at, a middle reliever who's had one good season. That's not how that's going to go, and it's not how this should go. I know there's a lot of frustration with Liberty Media, and look, I get it. At times you wonder why the payroll is what it is. They're still top third in the league in payroll. They still have basically the entire core on club-friendly deals. I know going out in the offseason and not spending, the GDP of a medium-sized country on Juan Soto was not in the cards, and that's fine. They got Profar relatively cheap, which, again, we know how that worked out, but they got him cheap because they didn't know if last year was an anomaly or the start of a trend. Clearly, after what we saw with maybe how that year was attained and how that success was made last year, maybe it was a bad investment, but it wasn't a ton of money, relatively speaking. The Braves are in a good situation. They've managed the payroll well. And yes, there's a budget. There's a budget for every team. There really is. Is it as high as the Yankees or the Dodgers or the Mets? No, it's not. Is that payroll, is that budget enough to win a World Series? Absolutely. And they will add some more money to that payroll if they need to. But again, they're not going to go crazy, nor should they. There's no need to. You don't need to mortgage the future to win now, because there's going to be plenty of winning now that the Braves can do. Not just this year, but next year, year beyond. It's fine. I understand there's frustration. I get it. But I hate to be like, calm down, like Aaron Rodgers or whatever. My daughter listens to Taylor Swift. You need to calm down. Taylor Swift, awful, by the way. But calm down. It'll be okay. It will be just fine. Last thing. I have a DM somewhere. Where is it? Oh, there it is. Matt, what's the plan with Marcell Ozuna after this year? Ozuna's always sort of been I don't know, I wouldn't say a concern, a curiosity in terms of what to expect from him, because I'm old enough to remember when it was like, hey, get rid of him. We almost did get rid of him. That series in Miami, what was that, 2 years ago, when he was batting .054 and then he hit 10 home runs over a one-game span or whatever. I was joking. But still, he was going to get DFA'd after that. Since then, he's been one of the best hitters in baseball. And when that contract is up, he's going to be 35? What is he now? Whatever he is. He's old by baseball standards. I'm old by real standards. He's old by baseball standards. The Braves are going to want to keep him. And I think he's at this point in his career when the contract's up that it's like, okay, maybe year-by-year contracts are going to be his life from now on, with an option at the second end, the second year, one way or the other. The Braves are going to want to keep him. There's no doubt in my mind the way he's played. He's a stabilizing force in the lineup. He's also a stabilizing force in the clubhouse. If you've seen him in the clubhouse, I think you understand what I'm saying. Without him, I think there would be a lot more. It would be more difficult to have a harmonious clubhouse. So yeah, they're going to do everything they can to keep him. Is some team going to come out and throw, billions and trillions of dollars at him? Maybe, but he does fit here. The Braves recognize what kind of asset he is in a lot of different ways. So since he is getting up there in age, he's not going to get a long-term deal, but I would imagine the Braves do everything they possibly can to keep him around, whether that be, piecing together short-term deals like they did at times with, I guess it was Morton 2 years ago that he got a 15, whatever it was. When you get old, that's just kind of the way things operate in this game. And so I think he's going to have to deal with that, but I think he's perfectly fine with that. All right, that's the end of the Mailbag edition of Braves Central. Don't forget to subscribe, review, all that stuff. Myself and Chris Domino, we will have the Ford Leadoff Show before each game this weekend. 6 o'clock is the Ford Leadoff Show every single game this weekend. 680 Game Day if you're local at 5:15. I'll have the Hyundai post-game show after each game, and then 680 wrap-up if you're local after that. We are not going to say the R word. I know we're looking at the forecast. I actually have it up on my laptop right now. It does not look great. We're not going to say it, though, and if that Mother Nature does wreak havoc, you can always call into the Rain Delay Show and we can have fun. But personally speaking, just selfishly, I love you guys. I don't want to have fun during a Rain Delay Show. I want all these games to come through as scheduled, no problems. We'll see if that can happen. All right, have a good one. Chris and I will talk to you on the Brave Central podcast on Monday.